If your hair just isn't what it used to be, perhaps it's breaking more easily, getting frizzy or feeling really rough and dry, it's not in your head. Our hair does change as we get older. And the routines and the products that used to work beautifully in our 20s just don't give us the same results in our 30s, 40s, 50s and beyond. So if you want your hair to look and feel healthy without spending hours on it, I've got 8 practical tips that hopefully will help you achieve just that. I thought it would be helpful to talk about what actually changes in our hair as we age. Not everyone, of course, will experience all of these, and they might not happen in the same time frame or in the same way, but if you have a bit of an understanding about what might be happening, it makes it so much easier to tweak your routines. Firstly, our scalps start to produce less sebum as we age. That means we've got less natural oil protecting our hair, making it more vulnerable to damage and just generally feeling a little bit drier than it used to. On top of that, the outer lipid layer of our hair, which is kind of like a protective shield, does start to get more fragile. So things like friction, heat, colouring, or even brushing can have a bigger impact on our hair than it used to. Texture can also shift, so you might notice your wave pattern getting looser or tighter or perhaps just a bit more unpredictable. I've even heard of people that have straight hair and then almost feel like one day they woke up and their hair was wavy. Hormones definitely have a huge role to play in this. And of course you've got colour changes. As the melanin production slows or stops within our hair, you'll start to notice greys, whites and silvers. And that change also affects the texture and the feel of our hair. A lot of these factors will come down to genetics and hormones, but also lifestyle can have an impact. But none of this means that you can't have amazing hair. It just might need a bit more protection and a slightly different approach than it used to. And that's exactly what these 8 tips are for. I'm really focusing in on the how rather than just the what, so that by the end of the video, you'll have simple, practical things that you can do straight away to help protect your hair. Okay, tip number 1, colour treatments. Hair colour can be an expression of who you are and form part of your identity, so I definitely don't think you should give that up. Hair, to me, should be joyful and fun, and you should feel free to experiment. It's just about finding ways of reducing damage that hair colour treatments can cause. Firstly, you might want to consider allowing more of your natural colour to come through. So for example, if you've always fully bleached your hair, could you consider highlights? Or if you've had a full semi-permanent or permanent colour, what about balayage? Is there a way you can still achieve the colour and sense of expression, but just by reducing the amount of colouring that you're doing? Perhaps it's about less frequent colour appointments or a shift into gentler products. For example, with me, I know the next time I go and see my hairdresser, I'm going to ask her, could I move away from bleach and have a high lift instead? Will that help reduce a little bit of damage? A colour specialist is definitely going to be able to help you. If you go in and say that I want X, Y or Z, but at the same time want to reduce the amount of damage done, they will be able to advise you on placement and frequency and the right products to help protect your hair as much as possible. One thing I would always do when you have colour treatments is invest in a bond repair add-on. K18, Olaplex, Aveda, Redken, almost every salon now has a bond repair that can be built into the colour treatment to help reduce damage, and I honestly would never skip it. It's worth the investment. This is something that I am still working on. At the beginning of 2025, I was looking back at some footage the other day for a different video. I was genuinely shocked at how much bleach I was still having through my hair, even though I thought I was opting for a much more lived-in blonde. I thought it was subtle, but honestly, it wasn't. I was definitely experiencing some blonde blindness. However, since then, I've switched to an Aveda salon, explained to the lovely Georgie, my colour stylist, what I was looking to achieve, and we are gradually making changes to make things softer and more gentle for my hair. So it's well worth continually reviewing your colour treatments. Tip number 2, heat. Firstly, lower heat settings. Wherever possible, turn down your heat styling tools. I've been on a bit of a mission this year to find tools that have low heat styling options. Wavy Talk have a thermal brush that I love, and I use that on 150 degrees Celsius. And then most recently, I have just bought a curling tong, which starts at 80 degrees, which is actually very cool for a heat styling tool. I haven't used a curling tong since 2022. I'm quite excited to relearn that skill. So yes, if you can, turn down the heat, or perhaps you might need to swap out your tools if you don't have that option. Second, always use a heat protectant. And sectioning your hair, lifting it up, spraying from underneath so that every strand gets covered. I actually go as far as using multiple layered products, all of which contain heat protectant. My leave-in conditioner, a serum or oil, and then if I'm using a heat styling tool, I will actually spray a dedicated mist on top. Just make sure it's dry first before you go in with the tool. Another simple thing to do is make sure you don't start heat styling on soaking wet hair. I like to use a microfiber hair wrap just to tie my hair up for a little bit, 10-15 minutes, just to soak up some of that excess moisture. That means it won't take as long for your hair to dry and you will be exposing it to less heat. Super simple, reduce the frequency. So if you're somebody who washes and heat styles every day, can you reduce that to even every other day? That's going to make a significant impact. And then finally, try heatless methods, because honestly, I think these are incredible replacement for heat styling tools. There is so much flexibility. A couple of my favourite looks are probably the socks method and then also the unicorn. But I mean, there are so many out there now. It's so fun to experiment, and if you've got wavy hair, it works so well because it will take on that shape quite easily. Tip number 3, lock in moisture. Because our scalp is producing less sebum and therefore we have less natural oil, it's really helpful to give your hair some extra protection. I like using a layering moisture method to lock and seal moisture into my hair. I find it works so well to help tame frizz and just make my hair feel softer and shinier. I have a full video on it, so I'll link that above in case you want to go and watch the technique. But basically, you're adding moisture with a leave-in conditioner and then sealing it with an oil or serum. It's such an easy technique to do, but it makes such a big difference to how smooth and soft your hair feels. Okay, before we move on to the next tip, I'm going to ask for a very small favour. If you're enjoying this video, could you please hit the thumbs up button for me? Just let YouTube know that you're liking it. Oh, and me. Thank you. Right, let's get on to the next tip. Tip number 4, nighttime protection. I don't know about you, but in my 20s, I was doing well if I took my makeup off. I know, that's just so gross to even think about now. And my nighttime routine at 43 is definitely a little bit more thought out. Protecting your hair while you sleep can make a really big difference. Not just to how it looks in the morning, but actually long-term health as well. Practical things that you can do before you go to bed is firstly apply a serum or a nighttime oil. There are so many available now. I don't actually think you need one that is a dedicated night serum. Even if you've got a daytime oil that you like to use, just applying a little bit, rubbing it between your hands and smoothing over your hair will help tame frizz and reduce friction while you're sleeping. Also use silk or satin, so that might be replacing your pillowcase, wearing a scarf or a satin bonnet, or at the very least putting your hair up into a protective style with a satin or silk scrunchie. The whole point of this is to try to reduce the amount of friction that your hair incurs at night time. Personally, I love to apply a serum at night. I find it helps rehydrate my hair after the day, and then I wear a satin bonnet to sleep in. I usually find that I wake up with softer, less frizzy hair than I went to bed with. Tip number 5, don't skip silicons. Silicons have been demonised online. And honestly, it's such a complicated topic. I don't think it's that black and white. If you'd like to know a little bit more about the science behind silicons, I'd recommend a blog post by Dr. Michelle Wong. She is Lab Muffin on YouTube. She breaks down not only the research and science behind silicons, but her own personal experience as well. It's well worth a read. I dropped silicons from my hair care routines when I was trying to follow wavy and curly hair rules. And honestly, I think it's one of the biggest mistakes I made for my hair. One thing I did pick up from Michelle's blog post was the benefits according to cosmetic science research. This is what they say silicons can help with. Softer, smoother, shinier hair, reduced flyaways, faster drying time, colour protection, thermal protection during heat styling, easier detangling, no loss of volume, and even increased hair strength. I love a bit of science-backed information, and that list of benefits, well, if you're not convinced by that, you never will be. Tip number 6, use protection. As our hair is becoming more fragile, it is so important to protect it from just everyday stressors. There are some very simple, very practical things that you can quickly build into your routine to help protect your hair that little bit more. Firstly, you could use UV protection. Sun and environmental factors such as wind can really stress out and roughen up our hair cuticle. Using a leave-in conditioner, particularly if it says it's got UV protection, is a great habit to get into. Now, I like to get this from my leave-in conditioner if possible, and one of my all-time favourites to use would be Bumble and Bumble's Invisible Oil, because it pretty much does everything. It detangles, it hydrates, it conditions, it adds shine, and it has that all-important UV protector. However, you can also use a dedicated spray, which I tend to do more when I go on holiday. So this year when we went to Marrakesh, I bought Charles Worthington's, I think it's called Sun Protect, and I would just spray that on throughout the day to help protect from UV exposure. It was super inexpensive and it worked a treat. Wear hats or satin scarves. Especially in the summer or in windy weather, I just find that minimising the amount my hair is actually exposed to the environment is really beneficial, particularly if it's windy, because windswept hair, usually when it's fine, equals tangled hair, which is never good. Regularly apply serums or oils. If your hair's on the oilier side, I personally would opt for a serum, something that's going to absorb quite quickly and not leave behind a residue. Something like Redken's 24/7 day and night serum. That's from their acidic bonding concentrate line, and it's beautiful. It's got a very light texture and it won't leave behind any greasy or oiliness. Another great one actually would be from Wella, their Ultimate Repair range. That's also really good. If you've got dry or frizzy hair, then serums or oils will be an amazing option. And if you've got particularly dry or parched hair, the Hyaluronic Overnight Cream from L'Oreal is incredible. When my ends get a little bit dry and parched, I love to add that at night, and by morning they're soft and smooth again. It's really, really good. But it does take a little bit longer than some of the serums to sink in, so I do tend to just use it at night time. I will include a link to my Amazon storefront. I've got one for US and one for UK, and there is a category there of serums. But honestly, you're just looking for something that's easily absorbed into the hair but adds a little bit of slip and ideally some shine as well. Tip number 7, minimise breakage. Preventing damage before it even happens is obviously way easier than trying to repair it. 2 really easy ways to do this is firstly, avoid tight updos. High tension hairstyles can cause your hair to snap and break, particularly along the hairline. They also can give you a headache. If you need some alternatives for updos, I'll link a video in the description box where I tried out, I think it is 5 different updos, none of which will cause breakage. Another easy thing is brushing the right way. When you've got wavy hair, I actually personally find that you can brush it whether it's dry or whether it's wet. It's just about how you do it to minimise damage and breakage. If you choose to brush your hair when it's wet, make sure you have loads of conditioner in it. You want your hair to have the same texture and feel as wet seaweed, really nice and slippery. Then choose a brush, something like a wet brush, and work from the ends upwards. If you come across knots or tangles, you're going to want to isolate them. Don't just rip and drag the brush through, because you will cause damage. If you're opting to dry brush, I would make sure that you apply an oil or a serum first. It's sort of the same thing as the conditioner when your hair is wet. It's providing some slip. And then I like to use a tangle teaser if I'm brushing my hair when it's dry. And again, I'm very gentle and I just work from the ends upwards. And finally, tip number 8, repair. Let's face it, it is not realistic to think we are never going to cause any damage to our hair. Life happens, we want to express ourselves with colour and have fun with heat styling, and even if you're not doing any of that, just day-to-day life causes a little bit of wear and tear on hair. So if you're not already, I definitely would introduce bond repair treatments to your hair care routine. They can be so transformative, and there are so many different types of products these days. It's really easy to build them into a routine. I'm working on a video at the moment all about my favourite bond repairs and how I build them into routines for my fine wavy hair. So if you're not already subscribed but would like to see that video when it becomes available, please just click subscribe and hit the bell button, and then you will get notified about new videos. If you'd like to see the lock-in moisture method from tip 3, it's up on the screen now. Give it a go and let me know how you get on. Thank you as always for watching. Have a lovely day. I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.